let's talk about this story from the Post-Millennial. Reporters confront White House press secretary after Biden announces border wall, breaking campaign promise. I love this because apparently Joe Biden is claiming the wall doesn't work and he has no choice but to build it. And then you had who was it? Was it Blinken? So someone in the Biden admin came out and now they're like, well, we got to have a wall. I'll tell you what you're seeing right here with this story. Joe Biden is violating federal, he broke, was that 26 laws or something like that?
26 federal laws in South Texas to allow the border wall construction.
And now I got to say, like, based Joe Biden? Yeah. Well, here's what happens. All these Democrats are crying their eyeballs out, and now Joe Biden has no choice but to act. This is the kind of thing that spikes them in 2024. The Republicans are going to play every video of every Democrat saying, let them come, bring open the borders. And then we got to close the borders. Oh, geez. And they're going to say, don't vote for people who are too stupid to realize that opening the border causes problems.
Yep. Trump wanted $5 billion to build the wall. New York just spent $10 billion to house migrants. This stuff is so aggravating because the media will never tell the truth about this. Remember the kids in cages and all these things. Like Trump was the tyrant at the border. This dude now recognizes the, pile that he's laying in here, and he's trying to make the wise decision finally, and the media will never put it. He's still the compassionate one.
I feel so bad. Frustrating. I feel bad for Jean-Pierre because she's not really good at this job,
dude.
And it's a really difficult moment to have the president flip-flop so heavily. How do you answer that question? Like even a seasoned, press person is going to be like, this is going to be a challenge. We're going to have to figure out a good answer for this one because anybody with eyes is going to be like, as soon as Democrats got mad, you guys turned around and flipped on this. She has no good answer. Yeah.
I mean, Trump built almost 500 miles of wall with just incredible pushback. The Democrats did everything they possibly could to stunt this wall from being built, and he still got 500 miles built. One of my favorite stories about how the Democrats tried stopping the wall was they funded this butterfly migration organization that sued the Trump administration because they couldn't let Mexican butterflies fly into the country. And they successfully halted the wall for 7 months, 8 months. And it went all the way up to, some federal court until they ended up losing. But they used the butterflies to stop Trump from building the wall for a while.
Yeah, it really pisses me off. What's interesting is I'm from San Diego. The wall works amazingly there. It has transformed the city. San Diego is one of the hubs, one of the most primary hubs in the world for sex trafficking. And it's sad what happens in San Diego. The wall has been a major deterrent of all of that. It's fortified. It is actually secure. And what it does too is it forces a lot of migrants, if they're still going to try to come into San Diego, they go via water. But the waterways in San Diego, if you've ever been, massive cliffs, it's very hard to get access to the land. So they've created this really impenetrable system. And you know who's most grateful for it? When I was in San Diego last, living there, my community was majority Hispanic. The legal Mexican immigrants were the most thankful for the wall. They're like, we came the right way. They should have to come the right way. They shouldn't be able to do this.
We recently went down to Tijuana. And when I was down there, I was in an Uber, and the Uber driver was telling us this story, and it was kind of amazing to be told this by an Uber driver in Mexico. He said that he lived for 2 decades in the United States. His mom got sick, so he came home to see her, but then he couldn't get back in the country because he had overstayed his visa. He was staying illegally when he was there. And so he worked with human traffickers. He literally said human traffickers. And they threw up a ladder where he climbed 40 feet up or whatever to this massive wall near San Diego. And then when the Border Patrol agents were coming, they panicked, pulled the ladder and ran and left him up there. And he fell down and broke his legs or whatever. And he fell back on the other side. And I'm just like, it is insane that these people feel like they can just openly say these things about how they're trying to come into the United States, breaking our laws. But the other crazy thing is the story is he's basically saying the wall kept me out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Works. But Biden's recognizing it's working. How many federal things did he waive in order to do this? Did you say 26?
26 federal laws in South Texas.
Well, Biden is now losing to Trump in 10 of the 11 polls that the Real Clear Politics average counts. And one of the major issues is immigration. And Trump beats Biden on immigration 52-28. And so, the people are sick of what's happening at the border. And Joe Biden recognizes it's going to be an absolute bloodbath for them and the Democrats in 2024 if they don't at least pretend to address this.
Right now, the polls that have Biden up are the outliers. So if you do a poll and you find Joe Biden is ahead, you should, if you are responsible, report to your audience, this must be an anomalous poll. So when the ABC Washington Post poll came out with Trump up 10 points, they said, this is clearly an outlier. It's a blip. Ignore it. And it's like, well, fair point. It is 10 points is a big, heavy swing. A lot of ties. And Trump seems to be winning more than he's losing. So at this point, if we're going to hold up that same standard, with Biden, according to YouGov, up 5, that's an outlier. We should consider it to be incorrect because Trump's actually winning almost every other poll.
Yeah. And the Democrats know this. You can tell because they've arrested Trump 4 times, and they're changing their tune on immigration.
Well, you know what they're doing now with the fraud lawsuit. I believe they will seize as much of Trump's assets as possible with this method. They can't just come out and strip Trump of his net worth, of the things he owns, because then there's going to be questions about whether or not we actually live in a country anymore. But here's what we've seen so far with the judge. The judge summarily decrees, without hearing any evidence and rejecting actual evidence proving Trump was innocent, and says the Trump organization overvalued its properties. Mar-a-Lago's only worth $18 million. You've got real estate developers and investors in Florida who are not Republican and not political, scoffing and complaining, being like, what do you think you're doing? That's not true. Our property's worth a lot of money. And so here's what happens. Right now, the trial that Trump is facing is to determine whether or not he falsified business records. If the judge has already summarily decreed, with no legal basis, that Trump's properties are not actually worth what the bank claimed and what he claimed and the appraisers claimed, it's kind of a bold thing for someone to do. But the judge said, no, I'm the one who's going to determine what your property is worth. It's only $10 million, not $100 million. Okay, now they're going to go to court. And Trump's going to be like, here are the documents. And the judge is going to go, that document says the building's worth $100 million, but we've already determined it's only worth $10 million. That means you falsified a document. Guilty. You are hereby liable for fraud against the state of New York, and you now owe us $250 million. We'll start by seizing that gigantic tower that's only worth $10 million. You see what they're doing? By claiming Mar-a-Lago is worthless, when they file to seize Trump's assets, because he owes them $250 million, they're going to use that to seize everything. That's the game. So I think the next move they'll make is we will hear that Donald Trump is found liable of fraud because he falsified records. He'll owe the state or some regulatory firm or whatever $250 million because it's Letitia James who's filing the suit. Then they're going to seize a $500 million property but claim it's worth $10 million and say, okay, now you owe us another $240. And they'll keep doing it until Trump has nothing left.
It's sick what's happening, and there's no jury in this case. It is a Democrat activist judge who's
smiling in the camera,
who's a Democrat
loves the spotlight.
Donor. It's a complete shit show, and we can't let this stand.
Well, I think there's no jury intentionally. I think Trump doesn't want a jury. A New York jury is just going to rule against you. It's a waste of time. The Trump team probably knows if they went for a jury trial, they'd end up losing either way. But this time, it would actually cost them, $30 million in a legal battle. Their attitude probably right now is the judge has actually done Trump a favor with the summary judgment because now Trump is going to appeal. He's been planning to appeal. He needs to get it outside of New York City, basically. And that's where his actual chance of winning is going to be. Don't waste time and money with a jury trial. Let the judge say what he says, and then you can appeal. And the judge made the mistake of being a moron and saying, I'm going to summary judgment Mar-a-Lago's worthless. Yeah. Now Trump's got all of the room to appeal and be like, there is no sane, reasonable human who thinks it's fraud when the third party, when the external party that you're doing a deal with has determined the value for you. They're claiming it's fraud that Donald Trump Donald Trump bought a property, or that he found a property, went to a bank, and he said to the bank, I want to buy this property. The bank sends out a third-party appraiser who then says to the bank it's worth, $100 million. And then Trump goes, you got it. They went, that's fraud. What? If you come out and reject the appraisal from the appraiser, third party, and submit separate documents and falsified documents, okay, there's a question. If they want to come out and make those claims, sure. But for the time being, the judge has rejected any hearing based on the facts. And the Trump organization says they have testimony from their lenders who are thanking, they're saying they made us a lot of money. It was a good deal.
$40 million in interest the banks got.
Yeah. Well, and like appraisals are helpful, but still at the end of the day, real estate is worth whatever anybody's willing to pay for it. And nobody with their right mind would say that Mar-a-Lago would be sold for $18 million today.
It's 28 acres, beautiful real estate.
17.5.
So, sorry, 17.5, and right on the ocean. Has lake access.
It's
and
both.
ocean access.
I just
It's
learned
got
this.
a tunnel under the road
Yeah.
to get out
Wow.
to the beach club.
Wow, I learned
Yes.
this. I learned this. We learned this from Laura Trump the other day. Mar-a-Lago. I'm such an idiot. It literally means from the ocean to the lagoon.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, duh, Mar-a-Lago, ocean to lagoon.
A property right down the road, so just their land, I think sold for like $400 million. Just a bunch of trees.
Oh, dude, like 30.3 acres is $10 million.
Ken Griffin bought a similar lot, the size of Mar-a-Lago, for about $400 or $500 million. And so just the lot alone is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. On top of that, Mar-a-Lago is a functioning, profitable business.
Yep.
And so, like, who made the affirmative action attorney general a real estate expert overnight? Like, she's clueless, and I'm glad she was dumb enough to post this, like campaign style graphic on her Twitter account. She's getting ratioed into oblivion. I think there's like 14,000 comments on it saying that she's an idiot, which she is.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.